Hi. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. We will just start in a short while. We are waiting for Susan to join us and all of our other participants.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Shinobi. This is actually my work ID, so my name is not on it. Can you hear me? I can't hear you, Shirobi.
Hi, Susan.
Hi, Susan.
Yeah.
I forgot to tell you, this is my work ID, so
Right.
not my name.
Right. Okay. So welcome. Thanks for joining us. We're just waiting for others also to join in.
Okay.
Maybe in 5 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Helen ma'am, if you can hear me, can you unmute your audio?
Yeah, yes.
There you are. Welcome and good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
So we have Susan with us and we have you. We're just waiting for some other members to join and we will start shortly.
Okay.
And we'll give it another 2 or 3 minutes.
Hi, Susan.
Susan, your audio is off.
Can you hear me now? Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Helen, you're a parent for a child in Nagar?
So Helen is from the Montessori and Training
Oh my
Research
gosh,
Center.
that's terrible. I'm so I actually suspected that because I know your name, but I've never met you.
Yeah, she's also the director of ESF India. And she's been with us. She's been with us for all of our online webinars that we're having, our online sessions.
I am the new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where do you live, Helen?
I live in Hyderabad, Himayat Nagar.
Himayat Nagar, okay.
So Susan has been a parent with us, Helen ma'am, if you know.
Yeah, I've seen her. I know her.
Yeah,
okay,
I don't
seen her.
remember you.
That's good.
Yeah.
So these are parents not only from Nagar, right?
Yeah, we have parents from both branches.
Okay.
We have them joining us one by one.
Yeah. I thought 10 o'clock is nice time, but then came too early. It's just come so soon. 10 o'clock happened just like that. Though I'm awake from 5:30,
Right.
it didn't seem long.
So I'll just read out the names we have. We have Gopinath, Pratyusha, Shravan. I don't know the others. I think there's somebody called Nirmala. Anilesh is here.
Gopinath.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say hi to everybody. This is
Hi,
Anilesh.
Anilesh. Anilesh is a parent from East Nagar.
Okay.
So all of you who are here, you can unmute and say hello. In the meantime, everybody else is joining us.
Hi, ma'am. I'm Hasini. Nirmala Hasini.
Yeah, hi Nirmala. Welcome to today's session.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, I am Pratyusha. I am Adriti's mother. She is in the Pebble Creek Life School, Tumkunta branch.
Hi Pratyusha, nice to meet you. Welcome to today's session.
Thank you.
So I think we'll begin because we may have people joining through the. Is my audio clear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is clear.
Right. So welcome all of you. We have two guests with us, though they are not so much guests, they are more in-house people now. We have Susan John, who has been a parent with us for almost more than 12 years. And she's a mother to two beautiful teenagers and a wonderful toddler. And we are going to hear all about her parenting experience and how she's doing, Montessori at home, what's working, what's not working, and what are her learnings, and what really learning is looking like in this current moment at home with her children. We also have Mrs. Helen. She is from the Montessori Training and Research Center, and she is also the director of ESF India, which is Education Sans Frontières. She is a part of all the outreach programs which Montessori Training and Research Center does with various families across the city, and also working internationally. So thank you so much, both of you, for joining. I'll hand over to you now, Susan.
Oh, it's me first? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So sorry, just before we begin, what we will do is, if you have any questions that are coming up while the session is on, please use the chat option. And if you just click on chat, you'll be able to type in your question. That way, it will be easier for us to go through the questions at the end of the session. We'll have Susan speak to us for about 30 minutes or so, and then we will open up for the question and answer session. And we can also have some sharing at that time. So feel free to use the chat option for that. Over to you, Susan. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I've taken up speaking today as a challenge from Shirobi because I've never done this. And I thought it's something new and I should try to do this. It's pretty scary. I told her I've been nervous. And now that Helen's sitting here, well, that's really bad. So, but I want to share, I'm excited about what I'm learning, and I am also a parent. I have two teens, and I wanted to give just 2 minutes background to my parenting experience. So my first one actually started with Pebble Creek in its first year of opening. So my first daughter is one of the first students of Pebble Creek when it was in Moisa's house here, just in Saniquary. So I have grown up outside the Indian education system. So when I got married, one of the freakiest things for me was to try to put my kid into a regular Indian school. I couldn't imagine that. But I also wasn't familiar with Hyderabad, and I didn't know where to put my child. And we just stumbled upon the fact that the school was so close by. So I was very unfamiliar with Montessori. Even though I didn't grow up in an Indian system, I definitely didn't grow up in Montessori. So I was not familiar with Montessori at all, and I learned along with my child. And so she joined Montessori when she was 2.5, and 4 years later, I put my son also. So they have been in Montessori from the beginning. So my daughter passed out from 10th standard, not this last batch, but the year before that. So she's technically now just started 12th grade. And my son is in 8th in Tumkunda Life School. So I'm familiar with Montessori from 2.5, 3 onwards. And honestly, until I had my toddler, I would say I really didn't understand Montessori at all. My home was not one that I did a lot of things for the kids. Like I never taught my 2 older ones how to wear shoes, which foot to put it on. They figured that out by themselves. They could get their own water. They were expected, I can be a little challenging. They were expected to take care of their premises, clean. I did have all that running in the home, but I can't say I really understood the education philosophy of Montessori until I had my toddler. So education, I would say, in a Montessori philosophy was more for 2.5, 3 onwards in my mind. And so what I'm going to share now has been the experience after I've had my toddler. My toddler, she is 2 years and 8 months right now. So I literally have children of 3 different phases. Got one who's almost 17, one who's just turned 13, and one who's 2.8. So I've got these great children in my home, and it makes it, honestly, maybe the one who's really getting educated is me, not so much my children. I am having to evolve and change and grow because of these 3 kids. So when I had my toddler, I was bringing up my child. I didn't know that education begins at birth. Let's put it this way. I didn't know that education for a child actually begins from the time they're born. And because I came into a roadblock with her very early on, when beyond the breastfeeding, I tried to give her solid food. And I would do it through distraction. I have a lot of things in my plate, as you can imagine, with older kids and a new baby. And I had a lot of health issues after she was born. So I would just want to give her food and get it out of the way. And I was not giving freedom like you should a baby. And she just resisted it. And she resisted it so bad that I was at wit's end that I don't actually know what to do with this baby. That's when I stumbled upon Montessori from birth. So what I've understood, and my toddler is actually showing me that. And by the way, I want you to know that I've grown up in an education environment all along. Both my parents were professors. And so school, learning, teaching, it's been my world from the time I was born. And a lot of what I do is also still education in my field of counseling and training. So after all of these things and looking at education from so many different angles, I honestly can say that I think Montessori is truly the best and really hits the nail when it comes to what it means to be educated. I can't say that I have found any other philosophy that really understands the workings of a child and education. So I have learned through my toddler that a baby has a very active mind from the time they're born. And they're not actually waiting for us to teach them anything. What I have learned from my toddler, and then has helped me see my older kids in a better way, is a child's natural instinct is to learn. So I don't have any more the weight of what I need to teach my child. How am I going to go about teaching my child? Am I going to educate my child the right way? I don't have that burden anymore as a parent. I have actually seen that a child's natural instinct is to learn and work. By the way, they love to work. They don't find work a burden or repulsive. They want to work. And if you have little kids, you find that they want to work. And our culture really comes in the way of this. So I found that and why I picked up Montessori was because when I stumbled upon a book, actually it was given to me by someone, Pebble Creek, about Montessori from birth. It blew my mind. I suddenly could see what my child was doing. It just, how should I say, I had to be born into a new person after that. in spite of how much I thought I knew. Because I found that the child has a natural, is born to learn, explore, and discover. And I didn't have to worry about whether my child was going to learn or not. My child is natural. I would say this way, a child cannot not learn. It's impossible for a child not to learn. They're just geared into that. And that is truly for my benefit. So I don't have to worry now as a parent if I'm going to be able to educate my child, how are we going to make him study, how are we going to make him grow. It is what he wants to do. It's what my kid wants to do. And so that really set me free as a parent, but I had to understand some of the workings of a child, which is why I liked what Maria Montessori brought up. Because Maria Montessori said a very famous thing that I will not forget. What she said was, and I wrote it down, she said she's not come up with a philosophy. Montessori is not a philosophy she's come up with. She said that I have taken what the child has given me and I have expressed it as Montessori. Basically, she was, if you know Maria Montessori, she was a scientist. She was a doctor, actually. What she did in her lifetime was incredible. It's really worth the reading up of. It's incredible what she did. And because she was a doctor, and by the way, she was living in a time when women were not allowed to study, and she had to pretend she was a guy to be into medical school. So she actually studied children. So that's why she says, I've taken what the child has given me. She has scientifically studied working with the child and come up with, this is how children are. This is how they operate. This is how they're naturally designed. So I have seen through my toddlers, this is not theory to me. This is living every day with my 2.8-year-old child. And I have had to unlearn a lot of things that I thought about children and how to take care of children and even my own plans and desires. I've had to unlearn that, and I'm constantly in that process because we're heavily influenced by the way we have been brought up. They're very subconscious practices. So I've had to literally, that's why I said I'm the one who's being educated. I'm the one who's going through the education right now. It's hard work because there's so many subconscious things I do that are completely against what the child needs. So I would say, even if I am aware that my child wants to learn, I need to learn a little bit about how this little creature is designed. I have to understand this little human being. There is a way that they think, there's a way that they're operating, and I don't know a lot about it. So that's why I looked into the Montessori and found a lot of real life, like what she said is what I saw. I could understand what this little being was doing. So I would say that we need to know a little bit about the way of the child. How does this little creature actually think and operate? And then, because my child is just naturally learning, I'm not going to be standing in her way or blocking her, but I'm actually going to help her to flourish in her learning. So I think knowing a little bit about the way the human being is created and the way a child learns is very important for us as parents. And learning at home, it may be new for many of us in India. And now with the lockdown, we literally have no choice. We really have no choice that there's no school now, and the kids, we don't know how long they're going to be at home, and we don't know when they're going to go back to school. So we're left with no permission from us to have the kids to home, and now we're going to have to figure out how their learning is going to continue. But when I was looking at Montessori environment in Pebble Creek, and I've seen it from the time Pebble Creek started, when my daughter was one of the few students, to the size that Pebble Creek has become today, and the number of Montessori environments, I was seeing that in Pebble Creek, there's kids from 2.5, 3 to about, if I'm not wrong, Shirobi, is grade 1 still in Montessori?
Yes, it is.
It's still, so about at least age 7. One environment from about 2.5 to 3 years of age till at least 7 years of age. And I have found that environment the most amazing environment to observe. Every time I see that room, it blows my mind what goes on inside there with these little creatures. It's just incredible. But the more I thought about it, I thought that's actually the setting of a home. It really is the setting of a home. I really believe education is from home. Because in a home, this is what I've seen with how my little one is operating. We have adults, so there's myself and my husband, and then the relatives who come and the people from my work. We have a whole bunch of adults. And then we have the children. And my little one has learned so much by just watching the older ones. She's finished learning so much. And my older ones are learning so much because they have to help the little one. And I really find the Montessori environment is actually just a more of a picture of what your home can be when we put it in a way that helps children learn. So I find that learning at home should not be scary or overwhelming to us now, because we're not trying to replicate a school. I really feel that you cannot make your home into a school, because the school, especially with the way schools are now, they're focused on only what the children are doing. And my personal opinion of some of the schools is it's more of a factory than it is a learning center, where, you know, the same age goes into the same class and then you download the same things to the same people and they have to produce the same thing and they come out and it looks like we're making factory-made products. It's really bad. That's why I was very scared to put my kid into the system that is there now. But I think we should not be overwhelmed with understanding that learning at home is a very natural thing. That home is really the setting for learning for your little ones. And so I looked into some of the things that are natural to the child, and I understood this much. My daughter is a natural learner. She wants to explore, she wants to discover, she wants to learn everything. She's active from the time she opens her eyes. My goodness, that's the scariest part. I don't know if it's for you as a parent, but it's very hard for me if my kid wakes up before me, because she's awake and I'm not. I need that coffee to wake up and get out of the blur, but she's ready, okay? They're ready for the world. And they actually like to work, especially if you have a kid from age 0 to 6, and even more if it's 0 to 3. So these little phases and the actual scientific way of the way that a child is naturally designed to learn. I need to know a little about this so that I'm facilitating her learning and I'm not blocking it. I'm not frustrating it. So when we talk about education of a child and you're thinking about how am I going to have learning at home, I want you to understand it's not the idea that we have that we're walking around with a big syllabus in our hand and we're hoping to download all this in the syllabus into my child before they're age 5 and before they go to grade 1. This is not actually how learning is. And this is what Maria Montessori discovered is already scientifically how your child is developed. Education is not actually filling the child up with facts. I know sometimes us as parents, we want to download all the facts that we can into this little human being, like we're putting information inside a computer. And so that this child can expose and read out, I know how to read, I know how to count, I know everything in the world, I know all the planets, and we're just stuffing information inside a child. Actually, I don't believe this is education. What I believe is that they have a natural desire to learn, so we have to do what it takes to cultivate and protect that natural desire to learn. They want to learn all the time. And I think we have to cultivate that natural desire for learning all the time at home. So one of the areas that you will find from 0 to 6 is they're what they call in the absorbent mind. These children learn by imitation. So this is very scary as well as really good if you understand. They're going to imitate everything that they see, and they're already subconsciously imitating. My daughter was walking by 9 or 10 months. I was so shocked one day when she was walking around with her hands behind her back. And I'm thinking, she suddenly started doing that. And she's not even 1. I don't remember the exact age, but she's not 1. And I'm thinking, she stands around with her hands behind her back. And I'm thinking, what a strange pose. And for the life of me, I couldn't think of anybody who does that. And then I realized my mom came to visit first for a month, and I'm so used to my mom, so I also don't notice that my mom often stands like that. You know, she was a teacher, principal stage, you know, stands with the hands behind her back. Even at this age, she does that. And I realized that my less than 1-year-old was doing that, and within a couple of months of when she left, she stopped doing that. They are subconsciously imitating everything. Every single thing is being downloaded into a fresh mind. This can be very scary. And then when you realize that all we need to do is start to work on what are we showing, there's a lot of education already going on. So that's why I said I'm the one who's going through the education. This is an age where they're like a sponge, and they imitate, and they don't use much of their reasoning. There's not much reasoning going on. And I find that is an age of tremendous curiosity, and they are very social human beings. Very, very social human beings. So it's not that we have a big syllabus and we've got to get all this information stuffed up, at least not from 0 to 6. So what I discovered is, since I have this little human being who is running her own show. She's like a very focused, curious little human being going about things. And I've noticed another thing, if you're a parent, from 0 to 3, they don't usually take direct commands. This was a big change culturally for me. You can't say to a 0 to 3 child, sit here, now go to the room. They don't respond to direct commands. By the time a child is 2, if you notice it, they only want to use the word. And they're learning to assert themselves. So you go through that phase with these children, like, I want you to now read a book. I want you to study now. I want you to learn colors with me now. Now I want to teach you about the trees. It doesn't work like that at all. I found that they're running their own program. What they want to learn is what their brain is telling them today. So the only thing that I can do is prepare the environment. This is what has been a tremendous change of growth for me. So even for my older kids, where you're trying to control your kids and you're trying to make them do things and you want to force yourself on them and you know the path they should go, learning does not actually work like that. And this is where we often stifle the child. You know, Shirobi, I'm almost out of time. Will you give me 5 more minutes then?
Susan, take your time to complete whatever you had in mind.
Okay, I'll be done.
Let it to about 10 more minutes, that's fine.
Okay, then I can be done. So I understood if my little child is already naturally learning and she's going about doing it and she doesn't take direct commands, like now I want her to read a book, now I want her to listen to the story, and it doesn't work, their brain is already running its own curiosity, she's on her own thing, then I understood Maria Montessori's concept of a prepared environment. And so what I do is I prepare the environment. If she's going to learn anyway, and she is subconsciously learning, I can't stop her from learning, then I'm not actually involved in that part. What I am involved and responsible for is the environment she's learning in. And so it's called a prepared environment. So the only thing that I can do is really very freeing. At the same time, it's very challenging because I have to change a lot of my ways. I need to prepare my home as an environment that is most conducive to learning. And that's why we need to look at certain aspects that they need for learning. I would say the most important things in an environment at home where your child is going to learn, and you can see this even in 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, even 8-year-olds, there are certain things they want to do. They wake up in the morning and they got an idea and they want to do that. And we should not stand in the way if they want to suddenly go outside and find a caterpillar and then they're on the journey about learning about caterpillars. This is something that's already naturally happening in a child. So in the environment, my home needs to have certain characteristics. And one is order. Order is really, really important to a child. And that's very good for us as parents because we've got to pull up our socks here. So I have everything in order and I keep working on that. I keep working on the idea of every item in my home. Every item has a home. Every item has a place that it belongs. This is really good for us because we can tend to accumulate. So if I have a cup, there's a place for it. And if I have my mixie, there's a place for it. If I have books in the house, there is a place for it. This really helps your child, because if your home is not in order, it's very distracting for natural learning. And you find the kids very restless and they're not able to focus on anything. And it also helps your child to put things back because they know where it goes back. One of the reasons why children don't put things back is because they don't know where it goes. Only you know where it goes. They don't know where it goes. And they watch the way we take things and put them back. So my kid this morning wants to take a rubber band for her hair. She knows where to go. It's in the drawer. And I was in a rush and I said, you want me to tie your hair? And she said, yes. She took the rubber band and she's rushing out with me, and then she goes back and she closed the drawer. It's something she did herself. In fact, most of what my kid does, I've seen, is she's just imitating us. When we open the drawer, we always close the drawer. So order is very necessary, I think, for a child to learn at home. You need to work on that as a parent. And I do that often after she slept or before she wakes up, so that things are kind of settled. And some of the work I do with her because I want her to, she likes to work, and I do the work with her. I think order is very necessary, and the only concept you need to have in your mind is that everything should have a place. There is a place for every item in your house. There's a specific place. If you find this thing, you know that it has a place to go. And the other thing is order. I put order. Child size. Okay, independence. Everything that your child wants to do and needs to do should be accessible to him without your help as much as possible. The way that I look into this is I observe, does my kid have to ask me for something? I watch how much does my child have to ask me? If my child is asking me for too many things, then I have not made it accessible to her. And she can't operate from that level of independence. So it's very simple. She wants to go have a bath. Everything is at her disposal. The bathroom, to be able to open the bathroom, the bucket, the towel is at a lower place. If she needs to brush her teeth, there is a stool. And I will just this is what I just want to quickly run for the last 5 minutes, how I set up the different rooms. But I need to look at, for learning to be independent, that is the only way that she can explore on her own. When she suddenly wants to read a book, she needs to be able to get the book she's looking for. When she suddenly wants to play with blocks, she needs to be able to get the blocks by herself. There is a place, and she can sit there and she can play and she can put it back. I don't need to involve myself much. It's very free, but it takes a little work behind the scenes. So I need to look at it from her worldview. I often get down and see from her height, how does this big world look? And can she see the things that she needs to see? Does she know where everything is? And the other thing is beauty. They love beautiful things. When I put out a vase one day with some flowers, I noticed my toddler went to the vase. Something new has come in the house. So she goes to the vase and says, Mama, you put this here? And I said, yes, do you like it? It's beautiful, Mama. And I'm like, that's nice. They love beautiful things. And so having plants or flowers, or maybe, I don't know if you like to have a fishbowl, things that make it look beautiful, but avoid clutter. It's just that it's something very nice and beautiful in the room. So I worked on the order of everything having a place. I worked on the independence, and I still keep listening to how many times is she asking me for things, and is it something that I can make accessible to her and stop having her to ask me for it. And I also worked on the other last one, which is very difficult in a home right now for me. I find this the hardest, and that is an uninterrupted time for her to work on things, where there's no noise, distraction, somebody walks in, somebody calls me on the phone. This is very challenging for me in a home, especially because I work from home. And so a lot of my time at home involves work. So I'm working on how she'll be able to concentrate on her work without too many interruptions. I've worked out some things of the room when I'm working. She has things there, and so she can focus on that, and she's getting a little familiar with, with a lot of my clients, I tell them to message me as much as they can without calling me, and calling is the last option for me. That's because I have a toddler and I feel that they need our attention a lot. So she's getting a little familiar that, okay, I message, but sometimes she tells me, Mama, don't look at the phone. And I know that, okay, I'm really going overboard. Right now as a parent, I'm finding that a little bit of a challenge. I am working on that, so that I often find when she decides to do something is when somebody walks in and then she wants to run after that person because they have no idea that she was about to start something. So I'm also educating the rest of the members of the home how she's operating and what they can do to help her and what they shouldn't be doing. So I wanted to say, give you some typical things of what she does and how I set up the room, and that should be done for me. In the bathroom, she can go brush her teeth by herself, and she has everything accessible to her. There is a stool so she can climb up to the tap, and she has a towel, she has soap, she has a toothbrush, she has toothpaste, and she can do it on her own. How has she learned to do it on her own? I have spent the last 1 year doing it with her. She's watched me do it. Every time we brush teeth together. So she's seen how I do it, and she's watching how I do it. I mean, literally, every step that you do is exactly what she wants to do. So you have to work on modeling. You have to know exactly what it is that you want your child to do, and you just keep doing that. In the kitchen, we have a stool, so she cuts vegetables with me. So I wanted to say the work side, they love to work. In the kitchen, I have a shelf where the top part has a vase with some flowers. I have one single cup that she uses for drinking. We have water supply with a tap that she can take herself. It's at her height. I have one single cup. So this is the cup. There's no 10 cups sitting there, okay? I just got lots of cups, so I put them. No, she's got one single cup, so when she wants water, she knows she can go there, go get water, and put the cup right back there. There's no other place for it in the house. It stays there. And underneath, she has a cutting board. She has an apple cutter. And she has some plates and bowls for her when she wants a snack. My kid likes very interesting things. My kid loves to eat seeds and nuts and stuff like that. So she has little glass containers. I put them out when I think she's free to eat a snack and we're going to be late with the meal. So if she wants to eat, I know what she likes to eat, and I give those options. So if she wants to eat, the bowl is there, the spoon is there, and I'm always around. At this age, I'm always around. And I don't direct and correct. Oh, that's the third thing I forgot. My environment has to give room for mistakes. If she has to learn, she has to be allowed to make as many mistakes without being scolded, without you feeling frustrated because she's learning. And I also have cleaning supplies in one area of my kitchen that has a jadu, a dustpan. They're all her size. She has been doing this from age 1. A broom, a dustpan, there's an apron, there's a cloth for cleaning, there's a spray bottle and a cloth for cleaning the fridge and the doors. They love water. It's just that I bring it up like, you want to do that? Okay, let's go. Which door are we going to do? Okay, which table are we going to clean? So they don't, want to spray my face. I just direct and say, so which door are we doing today? Okay, we go there. By the way, I also have less toys, because I find toys are not fun for them, and more of puzzles. I have books. I think books are the most important thing at this age. And I have them in a place where she can take them and she can put them right back there. Does my child do it every time? No. No, she doesn't. And that's part of learning. She's also watching my response to it. She's also watching how I respond when she doesn't put it back. And what I have learned is to correct by teaching. I don't correct as much. I'm not perfect. There are times when I feel like I'll explode, that she's dropped one more thing on the ground. But I have put this principle in my mind that I do the correction by teaching. So for example, she's taken the toys and she's put them down, and she's done some imaginary play. So she took many things down. In her imaginary play, she needed this one and this one and this one, and it all became a mess. So I'm also aware it's a little hard to pack up. So I often invite her to pack up, and if she doesn't come, then I model. I just model. And I know she's watching. She's watching how I'm doing it. She's watching my responses. You know, one of the things recently I found out when she was so frustrated and would keep screaming, she was actually screaming because I looked angry. Because I found that, so she's screaming for something. She's frustrated, she's tired, she's sleepy at the table, she's lost her cool, she dropped the spoon. And you know, when a kid is throwing a tantrum, you're also not necessarily ready for this. And I found that she was screaming more and more because I looked upset. When I snapped and I said, oh, that's really funny, you're really upset, aren't you? And she's like, ah. And I watched and said, oh my God, she's literally looking at every expression and how I'm handling her. And when she found that, okay, I'm okay, you're upset, it's okay. And I asked her a question, are you sad? Yes. Okay. Shall we go now? Okay. And the whole thing stopped. So when they're making mistakes and doing wrong things, I think it really matters that we continue modeling, that I continue to show what exactly I'm expecting from her. So I have worked on those things. I also have garden, and you might have seen the pictures where I have a child-sized watering can. If you don't have it, doesn't matter, just use a bucket and a mug. It's fun for them. And I have shown her where the tap is so she can collect water for herself. Will they play with water? Yes, they will. But I have seen that anything that you're afraid they're going to do excessively, it's only for a span of time. When they finish exploring all about it, they're not going to be doing it anymore. So my kid doesn't mess around with water every day. And I also have washing vessels. There's a spoon, there's a towel, scrubber. And you know, I want to just leave you with some of my recent amazing discoveries with how a child is learning even when you don't know. My daughter, my little one, has stopped washing vessels ever since my older kids are at home because my older two have chores. So one of my eldest is the one who does all the washing of the vessels. Horrible work, but she's taken it up. It's terrible work. But my eldest grits her teeth and does it at every meal. So my little one hasn't been in the sink washing vessels for some time. I don't know what happened yesterday. She wants to wash vessels. Everything's spick and span. We've cleared the counter. We're happy, it's clean. And now my little one wants to wash vessels. I'm like, okay, let's go. So we open the drawer and we take out a vessel. I was amazed, guys. She took the scrubber and she scrubbed every part of it. She closed the tap, then she opened the tap and she told me if you don't put a lot of water, no splashing. I said, you're right. She washed the whole thing, she put it. Next one, so I'm taking out another clean one. Okay, here you go. And she cleaned another one and she said, spoons, we need spoons. I said, okay, here's some spoons. And once she finished, she washed enough, she said, okay, that's enough. And she put everything back. And I was amazed because it was 6 months before she was really into washing and she didn't wash this well. I was so shocked about how well she knows how to wash. She washed up everything. Then the latest craze now is, of course, we're doing the sweeping and mopping. She's screaming, and I'm trying to understand, what are you so upset about? And I understand, no, she doesn't want the broom. She wants the dust. So I'm holding off my older kids and just let her be involved. Leave the dust. So I'm around with my broom and I'm collecting the dust. And she goes and gets her broom and her dustpan, and she wants to collect the dust. She wants to do that part. So you see, there's something they already want to do. And we really need to have, so she knows where the broom and the dustpan is. And she comes and collects all the dust. And I'm telling you, she did a really good job of it. And she goes, and so the dustbin is also accessible to her. It's at her size, and she throws the dust, and she's done. Now, let me tell you, they don't do it when you want to, okay? It's when they want to do it. But I, as a parent, have now decided that she's learning anyway, and I'm making myself accessible to her. And I'm there at that time, and I'm involved with her, and I find that learning is just a natural thing, but I should be there. And the last part I understood is that conversation. I've not grown up being involved in my parents' life, because my parents had worked so hard to bring us up for a living. We were out of the work scene. My older two, I did not bring up involving themselves in the kitchen and the home. I actually didn't know how to do it. I literally didn't know. This is where I'm learning to bring my little one inside. And as I'm relaxed and letting her be part of the scene, which means she will help me if she wants to. She's welcome. Sometimes she doesn't want to and she goes off doing something else, and that's perfectly fine. But when she knows she's welcome, she's often there on the scene. And you find that because she's seen you do the same thing again and again and again, she She knows what to do. So here, I would say thumbs up to my little one, where I've got a bag of groceries sitting around in my kitchen floor for days now, because that's a big load to unload. You know, if we're going to buy groceries now, we buy a lot. So I've got this massive bag waiting, and she wanted to do that today. And I dropped everything else, and I thought, that's a really good idea. We've got to get around to this one day. And amazingly, she knew where to put everything. And I think that accessibility and independence is what's helping her learn. She knows what is milk. She knows what is atta. She's learning the colors. She's learning how many. She's like, 1, 2, where should we put? I said, you tell me. And she goes and puts. So I think learning is now not so strenuous if you understand the home is the best place to learn. Okay, Shirubi, I really crossed the tie. I'm sorry. I think I have so many things to share. I don't know which one to share.
Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you so much. It was wonderful to hear from you. And the parts that you really focused on, you know, preparing the environment, order, you know, being role models, and the imitation, you know, their skill for imitation is so high. And all of these things are that we take care of in our environments at school. So like you have said, the school is just like the home environment. And there is as much time to concentrate as there is time to, you know, get distracted. But it is all in the process of, you know, their learning. And definitely they do things when they want to do, which is why choice is there, and freedom and giving them time is such an important part of all of this. Thank you so much. It's been a beautiful, you know, it's been beautiful listening to you. We have some questions here. And Susan, can you unmute, please?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a couple of questions for you, and Helen ma'am is also here, and we'll try and bring all of our perspectives together on these questions. I will just read them out from the chat. Everybody who's listening in, please feel free to post your questions on the chat so we can discuss a few things that are important to us, to all of us here. So the first question is from Swapna, and she says, I wanted to know, my son has completed his senior KG at Kidzi, and I've moved him to Pebble Creek. My question is, as you mentioned, 0 to 6 kids' brain is like sponge. Now, my son is 5, and I wanted to know whether he can cope up with others who already are a part of Montessori. I'm not comparing every child is unique, but still it is hitting in mind. That's the question she has. Helen ma'am, would you like to respond to this?
Yeah. So Swapna,
yes,
you don't have to worry. She, you know, the absorbent mind, what Susan mentioned, was functioning in your child earlier, and she must have absorbed all that she came across. And now that she's in this environment, the absorbent mind, they say it's till 6, doesn't stop immediately like that. And she's still got a year, and it's not, doesn't function with time, you know. It starts now and stops here. Today is 6th birthday and it's over. No. So let's make best use of this opportunity is what we are saying. So yeah, I mean, whatever is available in the environment at home or out, and now in this new school, she will pick it up, and she will just imbibe with this absorbent mind. So you don't have to worry. Worrying doesn't help actually, but being aware of it, that one such mechanism is there, which is beautiful, also frightening, like Susan said, it's both, it's scary and also it's beautiful. So let's look at the beautiful part of it and say she's still got more time, and enjoy this part, and think about this amazing thing that's going to happen with her, that she's going to absorb all that is there around. And so you don't have to worry about coping up. She may take a little more time than the other children who are already there in the environment, but she will be there.
Susan, would you like to add something?
It's never too late.
Sorry?
it's never too late.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
You know, when I had the toddler and I started much later, I would have these thoughts like what she's having, or what all I could have began with this little new creature, you know, but I couldn't, I just couldn't, it was unavoidable. That's how my life was. I only discovered it later. And imagine how much nicer if my first two had, you know, me knowing more about this. We can't look at it like that. I would look at it like it's never too late. And like she said, look at what is beautiful. And one thing I've learned is to trust the children. They are capable of so much more than we can imagine. And often it is my apprehension that blocks them. If I would trust my children, they're capable of a lot more things than we think they are. So I wouldn't worry about it at all.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you, now that we know a little bit about, you know, children and the powers that they have and the way they function, one thing I want to tell is that whatever they have learned, they don't need to unlearn. It's all a part of their life and they've already built those skills. And whatever needs to happen henceforth is something that you need to, you know, prepare the environment, have those things in place as a parent. And learning never stops. It's not in our control, but just follow your child and learning will happen the way it is. Your child's interest, if you can follow them and you can support them, that is all that is required. So, this is a question to Susan. Do you let your kids watch TV or use the phone?
The dynamite question. I would like to say I'm a parent like you, and this is a very big struggle for me. I am not a screen fond person personally, so you don't often catch me watching TV. The circumstances I'm in at home, I don't have a television, which is good for me. This is my dream. There are certain things that happen in my home that it had to disappear. So I was happy about that, but screens are part of everybody's life now. There's phones, and I've got older kids. So my struggle came with how to balance what my children were doing with screens and the toddler. I really preferred her not to be in front of a screen. I struggled with that for a while, and I would prefer little children not using screens. I feel that they're not good at all. They hamper their learning and it affects them. I've seen them become so crabby after that, and they can't concentrate. They seem tired after sitting and watching. So I prefer my little one not to see a screen at all. But I've come to terms with the fact that it is everywhere. It's even with me, okay? I have a phone. So my kid wants to keep taking my phone. You know, I'm not reacting as much as I'm now looking at my older ones, using it when she's not around and when she's not awake. So there are times when they want to watch something. I prefer it when she's sleeping. I don't completely, by the way, for my older ones, I'm one of those very old-fashioned parents. I check out every single movie before they're allowed to watch it. I don't like unnecessary stuff into their minds. So they think I'm so old-fashioned, but I think it's good for my home. I check out the movie they want to watch, and I give them time to watch. So I'm trying to adjust timings of when they can do it when she's not around much. It's not very easy since we're all at home now. The other thing is we're all on the phone. So yes, my kid keeps seeing us on the phone. My work is on the phone. Because of the toddler, I switched from the computer and I put it on the phone. So I'm emailing and I'm messaging, but it's on the phone, and it's very bad because it's around me all the time. So I am working out in what I've done with my little one. I noticed that she likes songs. And so I have a little speaker. So we put the music, and she knows their videos, okay? But I've worked with her. Once in a while, we show her 1 or 2 songs. But because she has the freedom to walk around with the speaker, it's balancing this. Okay, she gets to carry the speaker around and she's listening to the song wherever she's going. And she tells me, I'm not looking at the video, okay? I find it quite a challenge at home. And I'm working out how to avoid it with my little one. So there was a time during this lockdown when they would watch in the evening. Sometimes my kids would finish their homework and it's really dull in the evening. So my little one would go and sit, but now I have told them that I don't want them to do that when she's around. So that's my take. It's my personal take. I don't know what you think about that, Helen. I don't know what you recommend as a school, but I really don't like it. But it's also very difficult. I don't believe the little kids need to use a screen to learn anything. I am not a parent who thinks that they should learn maths and science and everything from a screen. I am not one of those parents. I find it more harmful than useful. And bright screens, lights, they're very distractive. And I've noticed that then she's not interested in the other real things. And so I'm not for it. Yeah. Maybe you can answer that, Helen, better than me.
No, that's good. Actually, we should avoid screen time for children. If they have got enough work to do and they are engaged properly, there won't be any time for screen.
Yeah.
Not just for her, not just for small children, for everybody, for all of us. You know, if we have so much to do in our day-to-day activities, so much, we have 3 times cooking and then cleaning, serving and attending to our office work and children's work and you know, looking into different areas of the house. There's so much to do, and where is the time to watch TV? I mean, any gadgets for that matter. Even to make calls, you know, I feel I was better off when I was going out and working in calling up my mommy or, you know, my brothers. This 1.5 months, I've been finding it so difficult to find time to call, to make a call, to answer calls. I mean, to call, to return.
A lot of work, you're right. Yeah.
To return calls. That's because we're so engaged with our work. So, you know, so it's important that we engage children with the day-to-day activities.
Yeah.
All our daily activities, that is cooking, cleaning, washing. And I liked what Susan said with regard to independent activity, that she makes sure that children don't come and that her daughter doesn't come and ask, I want this, I want that. She makes sure that it is available for her at her reach and her size, so that she can handle it and she can do things by herself independently. If they are, you know, if the home is set up like that, and if it is accessible, it's available whenever they want to, they will. You know, when do we watch TV? When we have a lot of time and when we are bored. And if we have enough things to do, there's no boredom.
Yeah.
If they're not involved in activities and we keep doing everything for them and they don't have anything to do, obviously they'll get bored and they'll have a lot of time. And what will they do? And you also very beautifully said that it's an instinct to work. It's a human tendency to work. Human beings can't sit idle.
No.
But if they have tasted the gadgets and they don't want to do anything else, because it's very interesting, because it's moving all the time. It's colorful. It's very interesting. And after that, they will not be interested in storybooks, in writing, in pages, in all other things will become mundane, because it's boring, it's not moving, it's not active, it's not enticing, it's so many things. You know, they get the taste of that, and so no to gadgets, whatever. And you're not old-fashioned, Susan. It's important as a mother to have screen time. They should have screen time, and also it's important that you see what they're watching, that you guide them into what to watch and when to watch.
Right.
You know, it's very easy to slip in and get lost into that world.
It's a very dangerous world
out there.
Yeah.
So it's our duty, because we know little more than them of what can be there. They are exploring. We know what we don't want them to explore. So it is important that we give them a time, and it's important that we show them what to watch. We have to what to watch. It's not old-fashioned. Please, other parents also don't think it's modern and latest trend now to let them watch anything. No, there's time for everything. We're not saying
very dangerous.
Watch, but there's a time for it.
Yeah, the internet is a very, very, very dangerous place.
Yes.
Children get on the internet on their own. So I have strict things like if they have games, and like she said, it's very fixed. If my kids watch, it could be half an hour a day, and it's really at the end of the day. And the games are once in a while, and I don't allow internet games. I really want to encourage parents. Internet is very, very dangerous place. There is grooming that goes on in the internet with the games. There are predators online that are grooming children, and your kids won't even come and tell you because it's happening very, very cunningly. So I would recommend, like she said, kids do want to work, but I think culturally we're not used to having children involved with work. We work and do everything because I've seen the Indian education is you just sit and study. And so we don't think children should work. And so one of the things that I forgot to mention, but which has been my key, and you said that, Shirobi, is that we need to give time. Kids don't do it at the speed that we want and at the rate that we do it or as efficient as we do it. That's where we give them time. So like the bath routine for her at night is a solid half an hour and it's slotted so she can, or I could do it for her. I could just take her to the bathroom and give her a bath and bring her out. And I could do it in 10 minutes and my job's done. But I've given the half an hour so she can go in, she can have a bath, do things, she can come out, wipe herself. I think involving kids requires us to give them the time to do things with us. And this is where I think culturally we have to change the way we run a home. Yeah, but thank you, Helen. Then that's very encouraging that I'm probably on a good track.
Thank you, both of you. The school also has the same view. The school does not encourage, especially the younger the children are, we don't want children to go on the screens, because if you just weigh the number of things, the skills that are not being used when a child is in front of the screen, they're not talking to anybody, they're not having a conversation, they're not using their hands, they're not moving about, they're not involved in any real work. When you weigh all the options and you look at which one is more beneficial, I think keeping them off screen is the best thing to do. And maybe because now, like Susan has also said, that our life has become such that screen time has become a part of it. Do what you will. Keeping it at the minimum possible is, and supervising everything is the best thing that you can do right now with screen time. We'll go to the next question.
I also want to add, Shirobi, before you go, you know, it's become adults, we ourselves are addicted to it. Every 2 minutes we want to see what messages come, You know, this WhatsApp is so crazy that it keeps coming. And also on TV, not just phone, on TV continuously from morning, early morning, from the time you wake up till you sleep, you want to watch news. And we say, I'm only watching news. So that's also an addiction of every 2 minutes, what's going to change? You know, either the number's going to go up or something like that, you know, and you watch the news once a day, and that's healthy even for us. So, and you know, the word model, children just model whatever we do. Yeah. If we don't want them to do whatever we don't want them to do, we should consciously stay away from that. So, access to phone, even we should check our phones, you know, sparingly. Only answer calls. Not all the time keep meddling with the phone, all the time wondering what's happening, checking. We should, you know, refrain from doing this, and automatically things will change. We do all of this and expect children not to do, it's not going to happen. Magic.
Yeah, I think, Helen, one of the challenges come with the lockdown is many parents that I know work from home, but they're computer workers. So
yeah, I understand that bit.
That is where a lot of difficulties I know have come for parents. We did not necessarily do that in front of the kids.
No, not to parents like you, but I know of parents who every second want to check their message. I know of some parents. I've seen them do that. So in such case, you know, we can't complain because children also want to do just that.
Yeah, they do imitate. It's incredible. Yeah.
They only imitate, actually. They learn through imitation. So they only imitate.
Right.
That also answers another question, Shirobi, what you sent. Some parents said everything is very nice about the child, but he only copies, and that's their concern. So learning happens only through imitation. If you copy, it's healthy. You don't have to worry. The more you lecture, the more she'll copy, because that's a tendency of human beings, of imitating. That's why you say, you know, he walks just like the father, he eats like the grandmother.
Yeah.
Body language is like the grandfather, his hand movements like the mother. Why? Because he's imitated adults around. If that's what you're calling as copying, that's good. And so we have to be very careful of what we are doing, because now we know that they learn only through imitation, and with the help of that absorbent mind that they have. So we have to be if it's just that, then we don't have to worry. And if you're worried about something that the child is copying, then you have to you should stop that model.
Yeah,
Model is
eliminate
what you have to control and curb, and not talk to the child about not copying, because child can't do anything without copying.
it. Mm.
So there's another question here. It says my daughter is 2.5 and we stayed in Bangalore earlier, and because of language barrier, she did not mingle much with other kids or adults. She used to only be around her mom and dad all the time. After moving to Hyderabad last year, she has started opening up, but again with the lockdown, everybody's back inside and socialization has really got restricted. So her question is, can the child get along with other kids in the environment, since communication with other kids is also important? She doesn't show much interest in interacting with relatives or friends on video call because for her, phone is for songs and other things.
Can I answer this?
Yes.
And the child is just 2.5, so you don't have to worry immediately. That's not a, should be a cause for concern just now. And it's about social development that you're worried about. If she's able to connect, and also there's a shift from one state to another state, also will take time for the child to settle. So let this child connect to this home, to the people in this home first. If she feels secure and safe and confident about this immediate social environment, which is the home and the members in the home, that itself will be good, and that will be a good sounding board to start off, when she starts going to school once the lockdown opens.
Right.
And you rightly said that the child doesn't want to do video call and all that, because first of all, concrete connections the child has to make with the human being themselves, and then only the child will be able to relate to the 2 dimensions on TV, on the phone. Yeah, so you don't have to force the child. If the child wants to speak, it's okay. I mean, it's good. It's nice that the child is away from the phone and doesn't want to talk. And if she feels it's only for song, it's good that she can only listen to song. It's all nice, actually. It's nothing concern. I mean, it's not something to worry about. Any shift, even, from one street to another street, the child will take time to get used to that. This is a big shift from one state to another. Language is different. Temperature, climatic conditions are different. People that she would have seen there to what she's seeing here will be different. And added to that, she's not going out anywhere. She's not able to relate to where she's living. There's so many things. So give her time. Don't worry about that. And yeah, and you can add, please, both of you.
Susan, anything you'd like to add?
No, I think she's okay. I mean, she's 2.5, and I think this is the age where they really attach to the home first.
Yes.
And learning how to talk, interact is the best. It's a great time to learn manners, kindness, speaking gently, being happy with one another. And that, I think, will reflect when she starts to interact. I can understand most little kids do not like to talk to people on the phone. I mean, she'll be very excited that my mom is calling, but when my mom's on the phone, in 2 minutes, she's got nothing to tell her and she doesn't want to be on the phone anymore. She's very unfriendly on the phone.
Yeah.
I can understand. I like what you said. It's a 2-dimensional person. It's not real to her. And so I think she's quite normal. I think she should be at home, connecting with home. And if she's going to grow up secure and kind and friendly, she'll manage when she meets other kids. But any change, I mean, I take my kid into a store or to somebody's home. They take time. It takes time to switch to a new mode. That doesn't mean she's unfriendly or she has, socialization issues. It's not at all that. It's just that she will take time to gauge and figure out how to behave in another environment. It doesn't make her not social enough. I don't think we can gauge a child like that. They take time to adjust to somebody else. I would say she's behaving pretty normal.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Both of you. There is a related question.
Yeah. Can I answer that?
Yeah. You've seen his elements. My kid is comfortable with English.
Yes. is not comfortable. Please, English is not knowledge.
Sorry, just read out the question so that
I'll
everyone
read.
knows the question.
Yeah. Okay, read.
The question is, my kid is not comfortable with English. He is 4 now, and we want to improve his communication in English, and we need your suggestions. That's the question.
Yeah, as I started off saying, English is not knowledge. Please don't mistake with that. And language of any language is important. The home language is what is vital for the child, because the child can communicate holistically with emotions, with feelings, with all the intonations, and every gesture. Is the child's soul will connect to his own mother tongue first. If that is strong, any other language will be just learnt. It will just happen. You don't have to worry. Once the child starts going to school, even before you realize, magically the child will start speaking in not just in English. If the child is talking some other language, supposing say Tamil, she will start talking in Urdu, in Telugu, in English. And if there's another child in the environment who speaks Malayalam, she'll speak that also. So 4 languages this child will speak based on her mother tongue, based on the consolidation, the strength of her mother tongue. So please remove that English from your mind. Absolutely. You don't even if the child doesn't understand, come here, sit down, basic, you don't have to worry at all. Speak comfortably, happily, and enjoy your mother tongue, because nobody in this world is going to teach your language to the child. It is this home, and it's only you who can teach your child. And this is the time when the child is going to pick up everything with all its details. And you're saying the child is 4, she must have already picked up. Let her communicate in this language, because she's just picked it up. She hasn't consolidated this language, and consolidation happens through utilization. So there should be scope for this child to utilize the language that she's already picked up. Now you're not giving her chance to utilize the language that she's picked up. Now you're saying, now enough with this, now another language. Don't worry about the other language. It can be any language. Don't worry about the other languages. Just focus on the mother tongue. Enjoy. You communicate, because you also can do your best in your own mother tongue. You can translate your feelings and your emotions to the fullest. No other language can take that place. So happily, without any guilt, communicate with your child in your mother tongue, and trust me, trust the child. Trust me with what I'm saying, because this is what Montessori said, and we have seen it happen time and again. I've seen it. I don't know how many times. I don't even have a count of the number of times I've seen the shift in the child's language. They just shift smoothly, even without you realizing it will happen one day.
So you're saying they become really firm with their mother tongue, and being thorough with one language like this helps them learn all the languages. Wow.
Yeah, but if there is somebody who's there, if you have a neighbor or somebody who regularly visits, or there's one member in the home who doesn't know this mother tongue and can only speak English, that will be an amazing, conducive environment for the child to learn another language.
Right.
You don't have to consciously and with lot of efforts and have timetable and say, now I'm going to now teach English. That will not work. If there's somebody who can talk consistently all the time, speak to this child or in the environment with somebody in English, that will help. I'm not saying the child should not be exposed at all. Expose consistently with one particular person, then it's okay. Then the child will pick up. Yeah, a neighbor.
And also here that it's not only in Montessori and the parents and Helen speaking, but also the education departments of the boards and the state government, they also very highly promote learning in the mother tongue for children, because that is so close to their heart, and they're not really working on comprehension of another language, but they're also trying to learn concepts. So please give that kind of respect and to the child's mother tongue, and also speak a very beautiful language. Whichever language you're speaking to, with your at home, whichever language you're speaking at home, whatever is your mother tongue, speak it beautifully. Give all the best words, all the choicest ways to construct language, and that will permeate all the other language learning that the child has to do. So I think we are out of time. We'll take one last question, and so this is about basic reading and writing skills. The child is at home with old grandparents, and the parent is worried about basic reading and writing skills. So what suggestions would you offer?
You want me to do that?
Yeah, sure, Helen.
No, Susan.
Yeah, go ahead, Helen.
Huh?
Yeah, go ahead, I said.
Yeah, I thought, the school is planning, very specifically for writing and with numbers at a later stage, because we're just now preparing the ground for all such work, and this will be taken up, because we can't just like that, just briefly suggest something to write. Just now involve the child into doing things by himself and be happy and comfortable, and do a little bit of reading and writing if he wishes to, and if he's happy doing it, and if you can guide, but more specific to his age and the environment that he belongs to, a detailed planned session we will have. I think Shirobi will.
Yes. Also from the school side, we've already been engaging with children, though it is online. We've been trying to support children's learning, and definitely reading and writing is a part of that. But as parents at home, what you can always offer to your children is the beauty of conversation. Like Susan also has said, conversation is prime to a child's learning. The more human connection they have, the more conversations you have with your children, that's going to build the foundation for all learning, reading, and writing, other than the work that, specifically reading and writing exercises that the school is sending out. Just being with them, conversing with them, even if they are on the screen and watching something, which we have already established should be as minimal as possible. But even there, when the parent is present and there is a conversation happening, it is much more fruitful for the child. So reading to children, reading in all languages, in your mother tongue, in English, whatever is possible, and having conversations, that is the most important thing, most important foundation for the reading and writing skills. And definitely from the school side, we will be reaching out and offering exercises which are age appropriate to take care of their learning needs and academic skills as well.
Yeah, and also, sorry, Shirobi, continue.
I'm done, ma'am.
Okay. I see there, she's saying parents are not, grandparents are there. The beauty of grandparents, the number of years that they have lived and their personal experiences are so rich that if they share that, I don't think you need any storybooks to read. Nobody, there's science and there's research which says no human being dislikes stories. Everybody is fond of stories, any age group. And, true life stories are more joyful and more received, and especially from children, and listening to grandparents, their stories. When I was in this village or in this hometown with my parents, it takes them a lot to connect to their grandparents, to their parents, to their life, and how life was then, how school was then, what they did. There are so many things that the grandparents can share. You have to guide the grandparents into sharing their stories. They don't have to read books to these children if they are not able to read. If they read, they can also share and read, but if they are not able to read, it's still, they can do a lot. As Shirobi said just now, conversation, collecting information. the more information they collect, more enriched they are with, wanting to write. That want to write should happen. For that wanting to write, lot of information should have been collected. It needs scientific informations alone, or facts and high profile thing. You don't have to have that. Just simple day-to-day situations with the grandparents. If they share, the child will be able to relate to all of it, and collect information through that. And that's very encouraging to have grandparents, and if they are willing to do something, and that's the easiest and the most simplest and doable thing, is to share stories. They also will want to share stories, by the way. So when when there's a need and there's a want, the sharing will be very passionate, and it will be very emotionally conveyed also, because they are reliving those situations, good, bad, ugly, whatever. I mean, nice things, not so nice things, everything will come out very passionately, lots of emotions. And that's what actually is the transference, the essence that is transferred to children, and that stays with them. This will motivate them, to think. They can build around it. What is story writing? You need to have enough stuff first.
Yeah.
And then you start. And that also, ignites that imagination. When somebody is narrating, you have to imagine, because you have a home, they also have, they are telling about a home or about a parent, about their school or road or some edible things or some clothes or some relatives. They also have it. Even if they have not seen, they start imagining. Such an amazing thing to ignite that imagination, which is the base for everything. Creativity takes off from there. Intellectual activities takes off from there. Everything else takes off from there. Wanting to write, wanting to read more stories about more people whom we don't know. All that can start off with just grandparents sharing their own stories and their own experience.
Right. Thank you so much. I think we are out of time now, but I think this was a fabulous session. Thank you, Susan, for sharing your experience and your learning. And thank you, Helen ma'am, for speaking and sharing with us all, giving us all the guidance. I hope you all have had an enjoyable session, and we'll see you soon sometime in the next session. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shirobi and Susan. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Helen. Bye.